Not just Roy and the Greyhounds have to contend with doubt. Keely tries to maintain a fun and upbeat atmosphere at KJPR, but she doesn't get much support from the staff, particularly Barbara. Keely receives advice from Barbara about being practical and keeping expenses down as she prepares for the company's first significant commercial shoot. Although they have had this discussion before, Barbara's urgency makes it clear that she really wants Keely to pay attention. Keely wishes to have fun at work. She wishes her coworkers to become close and get along. In the conference room, she wishes to have picnics. However, when Keely recommends that last one, Barbara declines and doesn't even attempt to cover up her deception when Keely points out that she didn't specify the time. It is irrelevant. Both Barbara and the dejected office employees outside are not on board. The warning from Barbara, or Babs, if you're Keely, is that this is as casual as they get. Keely, however, is unfazed. She is also occupied. Isaac wants a shoe deal first and foremost, and he seems to want any shoe agreement. Then, during the actual photo session for the advertisement, she rekindles her friendship with Shandy Fine, a former model. In addition, Shandy admires Keely because she made it out on her own, as they discover during their catch-up conversation that most of Keely's other former friends have married football players. However, there may be more to the meeting than just fond memories. Shandy offers a production tip that will enable them to stay away from the possibly overly expensive addition of a large number of extras. That causes a light bulb to go off. Keely could employ Shandy. She can, serve as a consultant for customer and affiliate relationship management. Barbara, Shandy's first encounter with HR, does not go well, demonstrating that Shandy lacks experience, a college degree, and a legitimate cause for being there. Although Barbara can't halt the hiring, she can make it uncomfortable. Fair enough, why shouldn't she? Unless Keely's intuition is sound and she might make a useful addition to the team, Shandy shouldn't be there, at least not right now. Keely is confident that she will be powerful enough to confront Barbara about her impoliteness. However, after Keely comments on Barbara's massive collection of snow globes and the two discuss it, the gathering changes. Barbara is still doubtful, but Keely has at least made some inroads into that doubt, if only slightly. Fortunately, Barbara won't ever see Shandy's text about buying mimosas for the workplace using the company card. The public relations situation in Richmond is not without its problems. Former employee of the Independent Trent Krim wishes to write a book about the club. Although they all outwardly support the plan, Rebecca, Higgins, and a visitor named Keely subtly urge Ted to veto it. But for whatever reason, Ted just can't bring himself to do it. Maybe he has a gut feeling that he made the correct decision. Perhaps he believes it would go against his dedication to being honest. Trent Krim will be a permanent member of the team in either case. Not everyone is ecstatic about this. Roy attempts to stop the project as soon as Ted informs the group that Trent is writing a book. Even if Roy and Trent had no past together, a history that only Roy considers, this would still be understandable. However, Trent should have questioned why Roy despises him so much that he pops a bunch of balloons while Trent is attempting to make a phone call because they share an office, a Ted idea. When Roy's demand that the team not assist Trent causes them to go silent, just as Jamie is about to propose a move that might put them back in the game, Ted finally stops playing around with Trent during break at the Chelsea game. The reality is revealed when Roy and Trent have a meeting. Trent, a young columnist attempting to establish himself, treated Roy's Premier League debut when he was 17 with scathing skepticism, and Roy never forgot it. Trent apologizes and Roy welcomes him to the group after a tense exchange. Okay, perhaps welcomes is a strong word, but he ceases attempting to obstruct Trent. The planning continues once they are back in the locker room, and ultimately they succeed, with a little assistance from a ricochet off of Donnie's face. Trent's novel appears to contain a fair amount of drama, at least some of it involving Zava, Maximilian Asinski, a world-class striker who wants to move from Italy to the Premier League because his wife wants to reside in England after binge-watching The Office. To use Ted's phrase, the original, not the US remake. Given how Slough is portrayed in the series, it's an odd option, but decisions have undoubtedly been made for stranger reasons. Zava is free to go anywhere he wants. In 15 years, he has played for 14 different clubs, leaving nothing but chaos and trophies in Higgins' words. Every club in the league is drooling over the possibility of signing him due to his interest in England. Well, nearly all teams. He is pricey, says Rebecca, and has a reputation for being a diva, which is well deserved, as we'll see later. He is not Richmond's. Unless West Ham wants him, of course. Rebecca is committed in that situation. Am I to assume that just because the team your ex-husband owns wants him, you're going to pursue a notoriously mercurial player you can't really afford? Trent queries. It's her chance to reject the guidance of those around her this time. It's a likelihood that causes Beard to yell in delight and astonishment. For his football prowess and, to a lesser degree, for a viral video of him acting as a veggie dog vigilante, Zava is a living legend. But it's simpler said than done to sign Zava. He tells Rebecca that he won't even meet Richmond because he feels it would be a loss of his time. He intends to join with Chelsea instead, which isn't ideal but alright. That way, at least, Rupert won't get him. But Rupert has other ideas. He arrives at the game with Chelsea and tries to rob Zava. Based on her own experience, Rebecca explains to Keely why this is a genuine threat. Rupert has been called charm personified when he wishes to be. It's how he courted her years ago, despite the fact that she initially had no interest in dating a married guy. But because he paid attention to her and persisted, she finally let her guard down. There is a thin line between stalking and courtship, according to Keely. Rebecca has gained some insight into tenacity. Following a taunting run-in with Rupert, Rebecca puts all of her efforts into signing Zava. Again, wrong sport, but it works. When she follows Zava into the men's restroom and spots him mid-pee, she tells him it would be cowardly of him to contract with West Ham because he already knows he will succeed there. To demonstrate that he is truly great, he must join a team that will put up a fight against him, like AFC Richmond. It's crazy, but the proposal works. As Zava is about to sign with Chelsea, he decides to switch teams not to West Ham as Rupert thinks he has orchestrated, but to Richmond. However, Roy is the one who is experiencing the most feeling right now. Jamie seizes the chance to speak with Roy about his breakup with Keely after Isaac uses kinesics, the study of body language, to detect it, following a shot that implies he's going to use the opportunity to pursue Keely. The genuineness of his concern, it's called empathy, you dusty old fart, is uncomfortable, right down to an almost hug. Roy primarily desires Jamie to remain silent. And for Will Kidman to keep his mouth shut too. They do, but Isaac doesn't, and the split causes a commotion in the locker room. And prompts a screech from Beard and almost causes Ted to faint. From there, word travels quickly. Even one of Roy's former Chelsea security personnel is aware of it by the time Roy arrives in Chelsea. In other ways, the meeting is also bittersweet. Roy responds when the audience respectfully chants his name. Although he appears happy, his return has caused him to ponder. He tells Ted in the episode's closing scene that he is sad, even. Roy became aware of the decline in his skills and the fact that it was only going to get worse during his final season with Chelsea. The main reason he left was that he didn't want to be an old football player taking up space. But now he questions whether he ought to have remained and enjoyed himself. He states, "But that is not who I am," and Ted responds, "Not yet." Trent joins in after Roy has left, sport. It's a good allegory, I think. Trent gets a new moniker as a result of Ted deflecting the comment by making it into a jest. For Ted, using sports as a symbol is nothing new. He keeps returning to the subject. And the extended shot just before the credits appear implies that he is contemplating it once more, as well as possibly something else. Roy might have mentioned knowing when to depart.